Hello, beautiful friends, and welcome to the Caribbean. I just wanted to touch on a bonus module for you on the subject of relationships. It seems to be the big question on everybody's lips, not just dancers, but their partners too, is how do we have a meaningful connection in an intimate relationship while still being a stripper? Now, I was thinking, who can I ask to help me on this subject? And who else? Who could I think of that was better for the role than psychology and human behavior expert, the master in masculine and feminine dynamics, entrepreneur, speaker, author, and public figure, and yes, you guessed it, a loving fiance to one of the top earning professional strippers in the industry, Mr. Peter Sage.
Well, hey, Lexi, very, very pleased to be here.
Thank you, Peter. We really do appreciate your time. I know it's been hard to track you down. We've had to come all the way to the Caribbean to do this, and your time is very valuable, and we appreciate you taking the time to help us and give us your insights into your thoughts.
No, happy to answer whatever questions you have.
Brilliant. Okay, so what I thought I would do is I'll just go through a few questions and you and me can just really have a discussion, and we'll just touch base on a few topics and then go deep into them if we feel necessary.
Sure.
Is that okay? Brilliant. So I thought we'd start by asking the obvious question that everyone wonders is, what do men really think of strippers? Are we just a bit of fun, or can we be wifey material? Coming from someone that's obviously engaged to a stripper, I'd like to know, what's your thoughts?
Well, again, I think we have to be really careful about separating the behavior, the career, and the person. The challenge comes when you take the stripper label out of the club. If you're walking around in a bar and you're still mentally wearing that label, then you're going to give off the vibe that you're approachable under conditions. You're going to give off the vibe that you are not looking for anything serious. Yeah, you're going to give off the vibe that this is a transactional basis for connection. So it's not like, for most men that visit a stripper club would see strippers as something that is a short-term level of connection, because that's why they're going there at that particular point. Nobody expects to walk into a strip club and walk out engaged. So understanding that you are not your role, you are not your job. Who you are is somebody who is engaged in a certain type of profession, and if you can demark that between your sense of identity, then you can be all of those things. And again, don't make it about strippers. If you want to have a bit of fun, whether you're single and work at Walmart, you can go out and have fun. If you're looking for a serious relationship and you work at Walmart, you can go out and look for a serious relationship. So it's about understanding what is it that you want, and then learning how to separate your identity, the role, your career from who you are outside of that. And so what men generally think over the label of strippers is, short-term connection. So it's just important that, if you carry that vibe on, don't be surprised if that's the kind of men you attract.
Okay. Can I just, obviously I know this is a little bit early in, but I just wanted to touch on your experience. Obviously you are engaged to a very highly successful stripper, and I'm curious to understand, how was it for you in the first meeting? Did you have an instant judgment because of obviously her profession? It kind of like pulled back that layer, or how did that work, or was it like love at first sight?
No, to begin with, it wasn't in a club. I'm not a client, and I don't frequent strip clubs. So from that level of psychology, I wasn't looking to engage or put labels on. So when I first met the girl I'm engaged to, then it was I could understand when she told me what she did, and I could understood what she did. I didn't have any judgment. In fact, one of the first questions, I was curious as to what got her into the industry. And when she explained the fact that she came from a fitness background, she was doing it as we all hear the stories, to support herself through tough times, to support her family that she was adding value to, and she knew her boundaries, she knew where she was at, and she knew how to play the game on her terms. I respected that. Yeah, it's everybody has a story. So being able to look through that, be able to see the person and see the authenticity in that person and the vulnerability in saying, well, here's who I am, take it or leave it. Yeah, I mean, how many times in a relationship do we wish we had that level of connection with people rather than try to play the games or wear the masks or soften things or etc. So, no, here's who I am, here's what I do, here's why I do it. And if you're not comfortable with that, then yeah, well, why start a relationship on that level rather than wait until you're walking down the aisle or when there's kids involved and you suddenly realize that we all have secrets.
Brilliant. No, I really like that. Now, you mentioned obviously about connection and playing this kind of game and wearing this mask. Now, one thing that I find, this is obviously, it happens with many of the girls, is they put this whole universal "you men" kind of label on their partners as well when they come home from the club, and it's kind of hard when you've had a night of drunken men and abuse, and don't get me wrong, it's all not that bad, but it can be, and you can't help but take home these feelings for you men and take them home and project them back onto your partner. What would you recommend for these girls or even their partners if they're watching that can help them to kind of understand why this is and how they can make it better, how they can benefit from it?
Well, for a start, one has to understand there's two things at work here. One is a concept called global beliefs. Yeah, there's two types of belief you can have. You can have a global belief, which is all men are, yeah, or all women are, or all religions are, or what have you. And then you have specific beliefs or context-related beliefs, like this particular man is. Yeah, so whenever we start edging into the world of universal beliefs, we start imposing judgment on entire groups of people and tarring them with the same brush. And that's dangerous because now we are completely shut off from being able to have any level of context on individual people. If I think that all men are liars and stealers, then yeah, if I'm going to go and then engage with a conversation or do business with somebody, I have preconceived ideas that don't serve me. If I'm doing business with someone who has stolen and lied, then that's different. Right, so we have global beliefs as one issue and learning how to spot them when they start creeping in. The second thing is something called transference, which in psychology is where you have a really bad day at work, at the office, and you go home, you shout at the wife and you kick the dog.
I've heard of kick the dog syndrome.
Kick the dog syndrome.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah, I can understand if you're in a situation where in a club and let's say you had a night where the clients come in and all of them are significance driven, disrespectful, think that they own the joint because they've got the money and all the rest of it. You know, you hear the stories.
It does happen.
And it's very easy to start taking on a global belief that that's what men are like. Now, if you then take that home, you're going to kick the dog. And whoever you're with is going to start to absorb some of that frustration. And that can be a real challenge when trying to, on top of the already existing phenomena of the fact that the guy may be having insecurities and jealousy, which I'm sure we'll talk about as well, associated with that profession. But you're going to start placing more stress on top of that bridge. And if there's any cracks, it can really start to open up. So from that perspective, one has to be mindful that whatever happens under the context, and it comes back again to, who am I, what do I do, being two separate things. And the fact that the men in the club, you probably wouldn't date if you've chosen somebody for a specific reason. Yeah, if he was doing what he did in the equivalent industry. Right? Again, as long as you can understand that that's what he does, not who he is, then you can start to really get a level playing field. But if you've come back and you've had a bad night, the first thing you need to do is to be able to communicate with your partner. Say, listen, I've had a really rough night. Right now, I just want to be alone or I just want to be hugged. I don't want it to be about his needs. You just want to basically have a guy that's strong, that's present, that can turn around and say, honey, I can see you've had a rough night. Come give me a hug. That can focus on being able to build you back up to restore your femininity, your level of self-respect, your level of ownership of who you are as your goddess self, and not just then start placing his demands on you. The fact you've been out all night and he's got questions or he's got needs, and now you think, oh God, I'm just serving somebody else. I may as well be back in the club and get paid for it. So understanding that communication is a big part of that. Setting it up front, so if you do snap because you've had a bad night, he doesn't take it personally. Understanding that, up front, lay the groundwork. Say, listen, if I come and I've had a bad night, please just hold a space for me. It's not about you. And literally, communication at that point is everything. And you'll always be able to work it out if the relationship's strong enough.
I have to say, though, it's very, very clear now why you are engaged. Your level of consciousness and the way you can demonstrate that, and the way you own everything that you just said, it's incredible, and it's very, very rare. How would you, let's go deeper into the questions that you mentioned previously. Like, a lot of men find their insecurity issues to be a bit of a problem. Obviously, when girls go to work, they're sitting there twiddling their thumbs, thinking, oh, what's she really doing? Like, what's she getting up to? And obviously, it can escalate into further issues, etc. So when they do come back and they're feeling insecure about everything that's happened, they're getting the kind of attack of, so what have you been doing? What's been happening for you? I've been there personally myself, so that's how I know, and I've heard many of my friends say the same thing. So for that kind of mentality, what would you
Well, to be completely honest, what you're touching on again is the issue of trust. And that's the same no matter what relationship you look at, under what circumstances, background or context. Obviously, it's heightened here based upon the nature of the profession. If guys come in with insecurities, and they come in with jealousy, and they come in with issues of ownership or the right to entitlement because someone's agreed that they're going out with them, then all of that is going to get challenged in this level of environment. So it's not about you. It's about a guy being able to understand that if you are strong enough to own yourself and your reasons why you're doing this, and you can synergize on that, it all comes back to your why. And I know you talk a lot about why on the PSS.
Yes, it's the first video.
It's fundamental, because if you're going out and he understands that the reason you're going out is so that you two can have a life of financial freedom where you don't have to work at Walmart, where you don't have to get up and fight traffic, where you don't have to be subject to somebody else's whims at work. If you're doing that for you as a unit, and he can understand that, and there's light at the end of the tunnel, it's not just a hamster wheel continuous tunnel with no cheese, then you can say, listen, this is 2 years I'm in this game, or 3 years until we hit these milestones. He can get excited about being able to share the milestones with you, about supporting you towards that. And if you can't, then I'm afraid you're in a relationship with somebody who is going to throw challenges no matter what. If they cannot support you at the level where you're trying to create something as a team, then you may want to question other issues about the relationship. Now, I'm not here to put any judgment on that. I'm here to ask you to ask yourself better questions rather than put up with somebody else's demands on top of issues that you're already having to grow through yourself in order to become a top of your game. So if guys are insecure, they're going to be insecure, and that's going to be magnified. So A, try not to pick somebody who's insecure, but B, try and explain to them there's nothing to be insecure about. If you can come home and your guy knows that 1000% your heart is his, he has you his back, that he is whatever he does, he lights you up, from a place of authenticity, not a place of transactional value, then he's going to be a lot more solid behind that. If he starts turning around and questioning, then that may be endemic of how you are in the relationship outside of the night you work. So build up a solid level of connection when you're not working, and you'll be able to weather the storm.
Nice. I like that. I think that's going to be a huge, huge value lesson for all the girls. It's interesting though, because one of the other things, obviously I haven't experienced this personally myself, but I have heard this from many, many close friends, that they don't even have they've not even told their partners what it is they do. Like, many of them are telling them that obviously they're working the night shifts as a nurse, or they're shop girls in a club, or whatever it may be, but they don't feel that they can open up and actually admit to them what it is that they do. How do you feel about this situation?
I've kind of put that into two different types of situation. You've got the reason that you would hide that because of your own insecurities about what you do, and that's a whole different issue. If you're not able to stand up and own who you are at that level and say, hey, this is who I am, this is what I do, just like when I first met my fiance, and that impressed me. And it's all about being driven by what I call goop, or the good opinion of other people. Most people spend their life swimming in goop. Now, if you're swimming in goop, you're going to have more issues about wanting to reveal your profession based on fear of judgment. Well, guess what? In my experience, those that mind don't matter, and those that matter won't really mind if they don't really understand the context to it. So if you're in the camp of being shy or nervous about revealing what it is because you fear judgment, without being too crude about it, fuck them. If you can't stand up for yourself there, you won't stand up for yourself anywhere. All right, it's like, if you can't go down to the shops because you're not wearing makeup, then not realizing that nobody really cares, then you're going to have real issues in other parts of your life as well, not just in this context. You're going to hide other things. You're going to try and portray different aspects of who you are to shine the good and hide the bad. If you can't own both sides of you, light and dark, good and bad, the mole on your cheek and the flat abs, the good and the bad, then you're not really going to have a healthy relationship no matter what job you're in. But this again will extenuate it. I mean, this career offers women a real chance for personal growth, to become more of who they can be, so that when they leave the industry, the person leaving the industry is more emotionally mature, has more self-confidence, has more awareness, owns themselves at a deeper level than if they've got a job, as I say, in a local supermarket, or bussing tables, or even as a lawyer, or it doesn't matter. There's very few industries that really offer this platform of opportunity for women to be able to become so much more at a deeper level, right? Irrespective of how other people put a connotation on that, because they've got their own projections, insecurities, and judgments. So that's one side. The other side of hiding this is if you feel it would have a genuine knock-on effect of, let's say, a family dynamic. Let's say your mother is a priest.
This was actually my next subject, so I'm glad you've touched on this.
Or your father invested everything because he wanted you to become an accountant, and if you found out in your mind what you really did, you'd have a heart attack. Now, on that particular thing, you're probably asking, do I lie or do I do whatever? You've got to weigh it up. If it's not you covering up your insecurities, that's good. That's one thing. But if you think that my father's in ill health and this could tip him over the edge, you've got to make a call. You've either got to break it to him in a way that gets him, just like the relationship, to understand why you're doing what you're doing, and the fact you're owning it, and the fact that no matter whether you screw up or whether you don't, regardless of their behavioral projection, they're always going to love you. So, whether they don't express it in a way that you want a tick in the box, then understand what's going on for their side, on the other side of the table. If they think that you've gone to a certain profession that doesn't fit their expectations from their pictures, then it's going to trigger the fear that they're not been good enough parents. So if you can reassure them along those lines that it's got nothing to do with them, it's just something you enjoy doing, it's what you've chosen to do, it's a short-term path, and you're going to carve it out, and you're going to use it to basically empower other women around you, or other people around you, to set the example of what's possible no matter what, rather than go and have to settle for being qualified as a barrister and not being able to get a job as a barista, which is quite common these days. People leaving university laden with 40 grand in student debt and don't have many other options. So there's context to it. But again, I can't answer that question for everybody. They've got to make the call. The only thing I would say is, if you're hiding it because of your own insecurities, address that. Then at least you'll be in a strong enough place to make a better call on whether you tell mum, dad, or what have you. Now, in terms of boyfriend, you can't hide that. because you can't have a relationship, an intimate relationship, which has to be based on trust when there's no trust. So, like I said, they either accept you for who you are or they don't. If they have judgment about that, far better to find out now than when you've been together 3 years and, and have a joint mortgage.
I agree. Wow. In fact, that was phenomenal. Thank you so much.
Well,
I think one of the other things that obviously you are an expert on is the masculine and feminine dynamics. You do a fabulous range of straight talks. And one of them is on your relationship talk. And I personally watched that myself and kind of just say, wow, very, very good. I was impressed.
thank you.
Now, and it talks about the difference between masculine and feminine dynamics and how whether it doesn't mean male or female
Correct.
body, it's more about owning yourself in your masculine or your feminine.
Correct.
And using the right one to. Can you just touch a little bit on
Sure.
that? Obviously, you can explain it better than me.
Oh no, you're doing great. If I was to ask somebody, you right or left-handed, most people would give me an answer, they're either right or left-handed. When the reality is they're not. They're both-handed. They just tend to favor one over the other. Now, when it comes to masculine and feminine, right, I'm not talking male and female because, as most women know, you can have some very naturally effeminate men and you can have some naturally masculine women. So
And we're not referring to obviously homosexual, like lesbian or
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? What you will always have in a relationship is polarity. Yeah, if you have a naturally feminine, beautiful feminine woman at her core, she will have far more spark and passion with a strong core masculine man. If you have a strong masculine woman, she will look for an effeminate man. You see this also in homosexual relationships. There's always a top and a bottom. So if you have an understanding that get off the men and women role, but understand masculine and feminine energy, we can both, like left and right hand, adopt either or. We have one that we prefer. Like for myself, I'm a naturally core, strong, masculine man. That doesn't mean to say I don't have a feminine side or I can't access it when I need to. But those have different core characteristics, and it's important to know them, especially in this industry. So, for example, masculine energy, and this is the very quick version, but masculine energy, by its very characteristics, is goal-orientated. It's focused, straight line A to B. It is decisive. It's action-orientated. It has purpose. It responds to challenge. So feminine energy, on the other hand, is very, very different. Feminine energy doesn't have direction. It's always in motion. It's just like the wind. It's like nature. It could be a calm, beautiful ocean one minute and a hurricane the next for no reason whatsoever. It's the essence of nature itself. It's unpredictable. It's spontaneous. It has that kind of will-o'-the-wisp attitude. And women who adopt are in their feminine, regardless of their age, always appear younger. You take someone like Goldie Hawn, approaching her 60s, but is naturally feminine, got that playful spark. She has more youthfulness than somebody in her 20s who's adopted this hard protective mechanism of trying to meet the world and the masculine world on its terms by trying to wear a masculine mask. And that's where I see a lot of girls in this industry fall down. Because they're trying to protect themselves from abuse or judgment or feel that they don't stand on their own feet.
Yes.
They wear a masculine mask over what is essentially a feminine core. So they're strong, they're hard-nosed, they're manipulative, they've got this confrontational type energy around them. It's transactional. That's masculine. So if I'm a guy and I'm looking for an experience in the club, I'm going to be looking for who is the most feminine. Because if I'm a masculine man, that's what I'm there for.
Yes.
Now,
spot on.
And if I'm a feminine man, I'm going to want that little bit of dominance, that little bit of taking charge. And it's easy for girls to be able to spot that because you guys are far better and more sensitive to energy than we are. So if you understand that if you're going into a club and you've got what you think is in place, the looks, the talk and everything, but you're still not getting success, it's probably because you're still protecting that masculine mask. Again, touching on a point we did earlier, but if you then go home and don't take off that mask, then you're going to have challenges at home. So one of the important things here is to understand that what can separate the two energies are rituals. If you have to protect yourself certain times in the club by being strong and put boundaries out, which is important, that's a masculine level of energy. But if you carry that masculine energy home, you have to have a ritual that takes off the identity. That's why it's great to have a strip and name, because name is a huge part of our identity. So, we're Candy in the club, and we're Cheryl in the when we go home.
Yeah.
So, but don't just do a name change. Take off all of the clothes that are associated with Candy. Take off the makeup that's associated. Put on different underwear that you only use for Cheryl, not for Candy. So that when you go back to your intimate partner, you are in a different energy, a different space. It's a lot easier to slide into that level of pure innocent vulnerability where you want your partner to be strong and there for you, which you'd never risk in a club in case somebody took advantage. So understanding that there is those two roles, those two dynamics is very important on how to integrate it. And as a gift for the people on the course, what I'd be very happy to do as a little bonus for for the people listening is I'd be happy to offer that.
Say, you've just given me so much, given myself, given the viewers, given us all so much more than I ever could have imagined for, and I hope that your depth and wisdom can really shed some light on relationships and how the masculine and feminine dynamics work in the club and obviously at home with intimate partners, and really be able to maybe advance these connections to just that higher level, that more beautiful relationship that I know that you have personally with your partner. So
Sure.
Yeah, I really appreciate your time.
My absolute pleasure, Lexi, and I appreciate the opportunity to be able to share. I mean, we don't learn this stuff in school. We don't take this level of information and learn how to apply it in the one area that can give us the most joy and depth than anything else. I mean, it's great being able to stand on a beautiful beach and watch a sunset, but it's so much more if you're holding the hand of somebody you care about. Relationships magnify, but they magnify insecurities as well as they magnify joy. So learning how to navigate that is really has become a passion of mine, but also is something that we want to be able to give to the world so that they can have a better time in their relationship as well.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Peter. I really do appreciate your time. And I'll let you enjoy some of this sunshine, this beautiful weather, and perhaps a bit of sunbathing on the beach now.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi ladies, okay, so thank you so much for taking the time to view this. I'm hoping that it's given you the in-depth insights that it really did me. I think Peter's knowledge on this subject is absolutely phenomenal, and I hope that you agree. And as he said, the Straight Talk will be available for you to download absolutely free as a gift from him. You can click on the link below and be able to download that straight to the computer. Thank you so much, and look forward to seeing you again soon.